the IIHS is something that's incredibly well timed. The two big problems in India are of capacity for professionals. We don't have the capacity of professionals who can not only bring particular skills that are needed for our cities, but also a kind of imagination, a projective imagination, because if we have to create sustainable cities, we have to be embedded in the future, not in the past.
I think IIHS has been established at an extremely important time. I don't think it could have come at a better time in India's history. Urbanization is not new to India, but it's assumed a particularly robust character in the last 5 or 10 years.
In the philosophy of IIHS, we find all the sensibilities around addressing questions of informality, the question of equality and the question of inclusion. It's very exciting, I think, a very exciting opportunity.
I think the ways in which they're trying to operationalize the idea of social inclusion is really quite interesting in terms of doing it through language.
The IIHS has a tremendous potential to set an example of exactly the kind of integrated education and learning that is really needed. And if it works, it will help not only India, but really begin to set a model for other places, not just in South Asia, but North America and Europe.
Let me say I'm just overwhelmed by the framework that I have seen. But what I really like about it is the core, because there you talk about putting the student who is coming in there in touch with himself, with society and the environment. I think we miss that in our education.
I think it's audacious and I'm delighted by it for that very reason. I think it's ambitious and bold, and I think that's something that I certainly, as a planner in the South African context or the African context, that I feel I can learn from.
We definitely need people, technical people, who are very sensitive to our socio-economic needs and socio-economic dynamics in the urban area. So we are not only looking for skilled engineers, the traditional civil engineers. Those civil engineers must be sensitive to how cities grow, what are the roles of different socio-economic groups in the city, and therefore what are their mobility needs.
The graduates coming out of the IIHS would address these issues, would reach positions of influence, and therefore not just at the execution level, but at policy levels, be able to influence how cities grow, how cities function.
We've reached a stage in the world now where we understand that if we are to achieve a sustainable future, that we have to integrate different elements of planning. At the moment it's all being done in silos, and that isn't achieving what we want. So I think we now know enough to know this is the right thing to do.
It's hugely impressive, and really inspiring that, that there's a group of people that is really confronting this incredible challenge for us as a species, in a way, because just because your global footprint is so enormous as a country, and to really think through, not to shy away from thinking through what this may mean. And given that everything that exists in the current, if you will, political policy governance system is completely ill-equipped to deal with this fundamental transition that will happen over the next 50, 100 years. So, so just almost the audacity to take this issue seriously on its own terms, wrap your heads around it and what it may mean, it's hugely inspiring.
IIHS has an enormous responsibility, which I would say is almost at a global level, because whatever is decided in India in terms of a path for urbanization will actually affect us all.